And we're back. Hi, everybody. Alright, well, starting to go darker here. So much enough. Out of my ear. Alright, looks like the tokens are pretty good at this point. Fine. Power's good. Yeah. See the ink did a nice job there on the door. So this thing just keeps sealing. I don't know. Grab it. Oh. Cool. Shake. Probably. Where? Down. What? And that I've got here. What? Got that. Cavalry. Oh dear. Come on. Spike. Alright, so I got the nice cavalry here. Put a little gloss sealant on some of the palette parts. I want to get in here. Nice. Up. Pretty well and clean. Armor. Well, up. Here. Yep, more and more. Hey. Alright, there we go. Hey, ADB. Can't hear what I'm saying. That's not good. Microphone not on. What's going on? Oh, you only hear me if I lean forward into the mic. That is it. Oh. Mic a little bit. I did notice earlier that my mic gain was really high. Very echoey. So, okay, hopefully that's better. I've pulled the mic in a little bit closer. Up the gain a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, I need a new microphone is what I need. This thing is starting to show its age, I think. Hopefully that sounds alright. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if you can't. And, we'll go. Oh, gee. Alright. Okay. Let me just, it's a good point. Let me just check, that's, wait a minute. I'm not any level. That seems quite wrong. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Nope, there's... No. Wow, it's very low, isn't it? Look at that. Sorry, everyone. This is thrilling video, I'm sure, as I sit here trying to figure out what's going on with my levels. Yeah, okay. Alright, so I just need to get that up a little bit. Okay. So, brought the microphone away over here, trying to get it a little closer to my face. Yep, okay. Alright, let's do some painting. So, not much exciting, in case you couldn't hear me at all when I was talking earlier as I was painting. We did a little clear coat sealant on a unit of cavalry and a tower. Now, I'm looking at these guys here. The militia. Here was the original unit here on the right that I'm trying to replicate. Pretty close. Pretty close. I think what I want to do here... obviously they're missing the flag, but... what I want to do here is touch up some of the metal, some of the shinier silver bits. This is... These guys just got inked earlier today. And... yeah, it really makes the detail pop out nice, but their weapons are looking rusty. So shine on there. And then probably also do a little work on the base, because the base is now quite dark, so we'll lighten it up. Add a couple of details, get that to pop. And then I gotta go find myself some of those flags. Oh, you know what? I think they're in that paper. Alright. Really brown quite a bit. There we go. Now, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but the guy in the middle now kind of brightened up his armor and his weapon a little bit. Through now and give everyone else that same. Yeah. Bottom. Oops. If these were larger miniatures, I would be doing this with a drier brush. As it is, I'm just trying to really light touch to try and get some of that same effect of a dry brushing of just getting the really raised surfaces. Let the ink still sit in the crevices. I don't want armor that just looks like a big blob of silver. Armor that looks like a depth. But not incredibly rusty. Last guy in the back row here. Much armor, just the helmet. Oh, he's pretty good. Yeah. Alright. There we go. Not bad. Okay, let's do the second one. Yeah. So I'm not watering my my silver at all here to try and give it more a little drier consistency. ADV. Noise gate's not letting me through. Alright, let's. Okay, hopefully that's better. Thank you for the audio feedback. Alright, so you were asking what these models are for. So, the story is, I am rebuilding the entirety of the game Battle Masters from scratch. Not totally from scratch, that's a lie. If you ever played Battle Masters, it's a great game. Made by Milton Bradley and oh, look at this, I've spilled coffee everywhere. How did that happen? Milton Bradley and Games Workshop back in the early 90s. And it was a kind of a board gamified version of Warhammer Fantasy. It's meant to be an entry, if you will, for folks who don't really know fantasy wargaming as a quick and easy way. Big old board game though. Huge. Yeah, you can hear some. Yeah, so that's why the noise gate's on. You can hear a little background clanging because the dryer's going. So yeah, I really need some better soundproofing in my space here. Anyway, back to Battle Masters. So Battle Masters has got this huge vinyl mat instead of a board. It's 5 foot square. It's pretty neat. You know, you get some gorgeous miniatures. You get a real taste of what it's like to play Warhammer Fantasy. But it's not really practical for me anymore. I don't want to play a board game that requires me to unravel a giant mat onto my living room floor. You know? I would rather have something small. So I'm trying to rebuild all the pieces in a smaller scale. So these are little 10mm figures. These are the units. Earlier today I was making these cannon tiles. Whew, that almost went right in the paint. Yeah, these little cannon tiles, made those. That was an element of the original game. Again, it was much bigger. Bit by bit, I am gathering the pieces of this game. And maybe when it's finally done, I'll invite Dan over to come play me a game of it. Yeah, it's a fun little project. Well, sorry about the clanging. Should end soon, as soon as the laundry finishes. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a funny project that I started ages ago, and it kind of died because I got overzealous with it. I wanted to build the whole thing from scratch, including the board and a box. I was trying to build a custom box. Boxes within boxes. In fact, I had this idea that each army would be in its own little box, so you could lift those out of the main box and, you know, take your army and then kind of like a fancy chess set. Think of it like that, right? And I was just being overzealous, and the project got away from me, and then I just had some setbacks, and I just kind of set it on a shelf and forgot about it. So when I was moving, I had to, you know, ask myself some hard questions about, am I ever going to finish this project? And I threw some of it away, the box making mostly because it wasn't going well. And kept the minis though, because I like them. That was sort of the whole point of this project, was I loved these little 10mm miniatures, and I thought they would look good for this use case. So, and that's really what it was about. Give myself an excuse to paint some more of these figures. Yeah, I do have my own map here. Hang on, I'll grab it and show it to you. It's fun. So what I have here, actually I have here in a box, I have the original vinyl mat that it came with, which looks kind of like this. Here, let me zoom this camera out. So that's the original vinyl mat. You know, it's massive. It's a big, you know, it unfolds to about 5 foot square. It's yeah, it was like playing on a shower curtain. I have here next to me some quick proofs I made of some clips of the artwork shrunk down. I don't know how well you can even see the hexes at this point. There we go, zoom in a little bit. But that's about the size of the hex, so that the figures, the pieces fit pretty well on that. And at this scale, the board was going to fit to about 2 foot square. So, so I ordered this. This is, you know, instead of building it myself, I just ordered it. This came from BoardGameMaker.com. And it's just your kind of standard quad fold board for a board game. And it's got printed on it the original artwork from the game. And lights are picking up quite a shine there, but if we zoom in, you can see there are hexes. Yeah. So, there you go. That's the board. It's done. Outsourcing for the win. Yeah. It's a you know, in most creative projects I've found a lot of times I really have to think hard about what am I after here? Is it the joy of creation, or is it the final end product? And in this project particularly, it's, the pieces sometimes fall on either side of that spectrum. In some cases, like the miniatures, it's absolutely about the joy of painting them, which I really enjoy, and I want to do that. The board, so I just paid it. I just paid to have it made. Yeah. So I think I got it by taking pieces of the vinyl. So the interesting thing about the vinyl mat, if you unfold it and look carefully at the art, you can see it is in fact a repeating texture. So the piece of artwork that's unique is actually not that big. So I think I just laid the mat on my scanner and scanned it in bits, and then reassembled it and forced it down into, shrunk it down and patched it, repeated it back into a 2-foot square. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to do a little base work on these guys. So, let's zoom in a bit here. I'm going to put away this silver. So, good with that. The first thing I'm going to do is grab some lighter shades of green and yellow. Cool. Actually, let's take this nice, what is that, the leaf green. Okay. Actually, let's see. Set them up like this. Try to get them actually on. There we go. Okay. A little light green. A little yellow. Great. And I'm just gonna selectively dry brush a little bit on spots of their base. The idea is not to do the whole thing, just little patches here and there. Give it more of a feel of just sort of natural variation of grass. There we go. I'm almost going too dry here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold this up. So another habit of mine that I've gotten into, which is making filming this interesting, is I like to jam my elbows on the table and then hold the miniature here. So it goes, as if you can see in my face camera, the miniature is right in front of my face. Sort of saves the back a bit. Oh, here we go. Just slide over a little. There we go. And if I'm lucky, the camera will focus in on it. There we go. Okay, not bad, not bad. And then I'm going to do the same with the yellow, but even lighter. Just going to grab a couple of spots. Get a little yellow on there. I ever considered perming my hair? No. Oh, because of Bob Ross. Yeah. Get a little happy little moss here on my one of my stands. Maybe there's a little chipmunk who lives under this rock here. We can't see him, but we know he's there. Okay, there we go. Gives it a little more texture. And then I'm going to grab some gray paint. Maybe a little bit of this greenish brown. Yeah. I'm gonna pick out a few rocks. Cool. Actually, quite a few on this stand. This is just, I have this kind of mix of sand and kind of small pebbles that I coat my stand in before I prime them. This gives it this variation of size of the texture here on there. Cool. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this brown, mix it in with my gray to make a really horrendous grayish color. There we go. And let's just grab 2 or 3 of these rocks, give them a slightly different color. Yeah, because every rock is not the same color. There, perfect. One down, now the next one. Was there chipmunk money? There was not. No chipmunks in this game. I don't know if you're watching Dan play games from the Elder Times, where he's playing Pool of Radiance. And there's not, it's a very early game for 1989. So the graphics, I remember, were lauded as being amazing back then. And of course, by our modern eye, they look pretty sad. But when he's out in the wilderness fighting, there's little, most of the ground is just green or whatever. And then there's little spots of random bits of texture that they threw in there. A bush here, a tree there. And recently there was a banana peel. He was like, is that a banana peel? I think some artist was just having a little fun on that project. It was like, I'm putting a banana peel. Yeah, that video game is one of the few games that I have absolutely played to death, and I've beaten it multiple times, and it just is the sweet spot. It's the first video game I ever bought as a kid, so it's a lot of nostalgia in there for me. And so watching Dan experience it for the first time ever is kind of hilarious for me, because I've played it a dozen times, from when it was originally published in 1989. And then even when he started playing it, I said, I'm going to play it too. And I played it kind of alongside him, just in my own time. And, yeah, he, I tore through it a lot faster than he did. Because I know it, unfortunately, a little too well at this point. Yeah, I will say the highlight of the artwork in that game is absolutely the monster portraits, which are definitely straight adaptations out of the first edition Monster Manual, but they decided to add a couple of frames of animation to them, which is just freaking delightful to see those classic illustrations show up in your video game and then animate. That's just amazing. I love it. Okay. Alright, time for rocks. I like to come through, it's kind of redundant here, I like to come through though and paint all the rocks one color and then come back and pick a couple out in the other color, just so I'm sure that none of the rocks get missed. Great. Okay. Oh, do I have any of this awful grayish left? Okay. All right. I think these guys are ready for flags. Where are my flags? Interesting. Lost. Oh, there it is. Cutting board. Flags. Ruler. And X-Acto knife. Alright, let's cut out a couple flags. What do I have here? I have infantry. Let's see. There you guys are. I see ya. Can't quite see what I'm doing, can you? Zoom out. Ooh, oh, the whole camera's shaking. The whole world is shaking. Imperfect. Yeah, I might have to touch that up. Damn it. Try hard to remind myself to cut a little tiny sliver into the color, because I don't want any white edges on these things. flag. There's 2 flags. Okay. Alright, yep. Clean that up. Got a tiny bit of white on the edge of that flag. Let's take that off. That one too. Great. Okay, got 2 flags. Just gonna score the fold point. Great. Lovely. Okay. Now I need a little white glue. Where to put my glue? Oh boy, we got a spammer in the chat. Oh, that's exciting. Alright, let's take care of that. Can I take care of that? Boom. There you go. Sorry about that. Alright. Using a very high-tech tool here of my finger. Get some glue on the inside of this flag. Let's get the other one as well. Okay. Nope. Glue is falling over. Stop it, glue. Stop fighting me. Okay. Okay. Zoom in a little bit on here. There you go. Yeah, just pinch that together. Excellent. And the other one. Got some glue on my thumb. And there we go. Now they both have flags. Alright. Another little bit of finish I like to do at the very end here is... Nope, that's ink. I'm looking for some black paint. There we go. The numbers on the flag AB is asking about is this is the number of dice they roll in combat. It's like the one stat they have in the whole game. Alright. So I'm just gonna come and clean up the edge of the mini. Give it a nice flat black edge. Now what do? Why did I paint the bottom? Because I'm an idiot. Well, they're just going to stick to the paper again, aren't they? Well, maybe if I put them on the painting tray, kind of hanging off the edge. Maybe that'll work. Okay. Where'd my black paint go? Is that as zoomed in as we can get? No. Get a little closer. The other nice thing about the flag, beyond just sort of shows their symbol, which might show up on other game elements, shows the number of dice they use in combat, and it's a convenient thing to grab onto when you're trying to move the stand around. There we go. Okay. So you probably can't tell this from just the video, but you know, once the glue is dried, I come back and I put a pretty heavy dose of gloss sealant on the flag, which makes it nice and stiff and plasticky and shiny, really easy to see. The dice are custom, so here are the dice that came with the game. These are if you've ever played Hero Quest, these should look familiar. Here are the dice. So they're custom D6s that have three sides with a skull on, 2 blank sides, and 1 side with a shield. So the idea was, you know, if a unit with say a unit with 3 dice is attacking a unit with 2 dice, you would roll, the attacker would roll and count the number of skulls, that's 1 hit, and then the defender would roll their dice and they would look for shields to block. So unfortunately no blocks, so they would take 1 hit, and every unit had 3 health. That's a thing actually I haven't built for this game yet, is that we do need little markers, little health markers. It came with little black skull tokens that you would stick onto the units to indicate that they were wounded. Yeah, I'll figure that one out. Actually, maybe I'll just use might use just actual little skulls or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Not too worried about that part. So that's kind of, wow, kind of getting to the point where I actually have couple of units here painted. That's exciting. All right, still got to seal up these 2 units of militia, but basically all the militia are done. I got 1 unit of I'm a little worried that the sealant I used on these guys might have not been matte, because that is some shiny looking shine on those horses and grass. What was I using? It says glazing medium. We'll see how it dries. If it still looks super wet when it's dry, super shiny when it's dry, I'll have to come back with another different sealant. Dull that down. Alright, I'm going to put some of these paints away. They're starting to accumulate. That's some ink. Okay. Little hollow skulls go on their heads. These miniatures are really tiny. Those would be, I think that would be really fussy. It's clever, but I think that would be fussy. I think probably you want something a little bigger, so it's easier to manipulate. Okay, so what's next on the list? I guess I could get back to work on the rest of the knights, who I clearly started on here. Looks like I started on these crossbowmen too. At least I did a little flesh tone on them. That's interesting. I'm saving the mighty cannon for last. I want to do that unit all on its lonesome. I've never painted a cannon before. Yeah, if the sealant I put on those guys is too glossy, what I found is if I just come back with a matte sealant on top of it, that actually will cut the gloss right down. So I'm not too worried about it. It's possible that it just looks all shiny because it's still wet. Maybe. I did just seal these guys. Okay. What time is it? I'm doing all right. Okay. Alright, what do we think? Should I put a little base color on some horses, maybe? Seems like a plausible thing to do. My palette here is an old piece of tile from a kitchen of an apartment that I no longer live in. One of the tiles broke and I saved a chunk of it. Here we go. Nope, clogged. I'll get my paint declogging tool, which is a paperclip. There we go. I'm gonna paint some horses. So one of these two units of cavalry will have a red theme, and one will have a yellow theme. Because the original game, the 3 units of cavalry on the Imperial Army were red, yellow, and blue. Though unclear why, there was not... there's no significance to that in the gameplay whatsoever. Just looked cool, I guess. Oh. So how is Fearful Ends going? It is going quite well. Yeah, so I did, based on our interview with Jason Morningstar, which you can see on the channel here somewhere, I'm sure, if you little search for him. Oh no, your spear is bent. Fix that. Okay. Yeah, did kind of throw me for a loop with a very good idea of adding physical stress cards that work mechanically very similar to how mental stress cards work. It just seemed like such an obvious and good idea, much less complicated than the system of critical hits that I already had in the game. Yeah. I tested that at Carnage on the Mountain recently. Ran a couple play tests, as well as one at a private game for some friends, and worked really well. And surprisingly, the other weird effect it had is it reduced the total page count of the text. Though it increased the number of cards I have to create. Still, kind of pleased that it cut down the total page count. So I was talking to my interior layout artist about how many free pages we still had and whether we needed to fill that with something else. And I'm actually quite excited that looks like we've got about 6 pages free now. And my thought of what I'm going to do is write a very short little scenario to include in the back of the book to say, here is a thing you could run. Because I feel like it's that kind of like practical use of the game that's missing from the text right now. So I'm working on that. We're still waiting for a few key pieces of artwork to come in. But overall, I would say that this thing is looking very close to done, and I'm hoping to launch the Kickstarter, let's say sometime in Q1 of next year. That's my plan. Don't have an absolute date yet, but that's what I would really like to hit if possible. Hey, Disparrow. The game that I'm replicating here is Battle Masters, which was a board game from the early 90s made in conjunction between Milton Bradley and Games Workshop as a kind of very light and easy board game that emulates Warhammer Fantasy or any real fantasy miniatures, large-scale fantasy miniatures combat game. I think the idea was to sort of introduce the genre to the mainstream. A lot of people bought that game back in the day just to cannibalize it for miniatures, because it came with some gorgeous miniatures, and a lot. It gives you kind of 2 armies to play. An Imperial army and a Chaos army. And the Chaos army, they really hodgepodged like every evil monster kind of army into one thing there. So you get your Chaos warriors, as well as some orcs and goblins, and some beastmen. So you got a little of everything. So I know a fair number of people who bought those. Especially, it was one of those things that, like, in the early 90s, like, maybe wasn't quite as massive a success as they were hoping. And so you could find these things in KB Toys for deep discounts a year or 2 after it came out. I loved the game. I played the game for the first time when it was introduced at Gen Con in whatever that was, 92 or 93, something like that. I immediately loved the game, thought it was great. Because let's face it, one of the problems of approaching a miniatures war game is, finding someone to play. It's not like you're just gonna pull it off the shelf and say, hey, who wants to play some Warhammer Fantasy, right? That's you need somebody who's going to put in the time to assemble an army. Or you were left with the option of, like, build 2 armies yourself, just so you could have a loner army to hand out. I'm sure Magic players must encounter this problem as well, of, like, you want to introduce someone to the game, you gotta have a loner deck to hand out. Anyway, I enjoyed this as a kind of scratch the itch of a large-scale fantasy war game that I wanted to play, while still being like an easy board game you could just pull off the shelf and play at a whim. Except that it was massive. The board, and this was, they kind of, you know, marketed it this way, that they're like, oh, look at this amazing giant board game. The board itself was a vinyl mat that was a full 5-foot square. So, yeah, doesn't really fit on the dining room table. You basically had to play the thing on the floor. So I got it into my head to rebuild all the pieces of the game in 10mm figures, so that I could have a game that actually fits on the table. So that's what I'm doing. And part of it is just an excuse to paint these miniatures, because I love Pendragon's 10mm line of minis, but I haven't really had much. I don't have any games that use 10mm, and I'm just not that big of a war gamer, to be honest. Like, a light gamified war game is about what I want. Book of War is probably the extreme of the complexity level I would endure of a war game, which is, you know, that's not a complicated game. Book of War, if you sat down to play it, it's pretty straightforward. So anyway, that is the story of this weird project. And if you missed earlier today, wondering why the hell I'm here painting miniatures in the middle of the afternoon, kind of ended up with a weird surprise quasi-day off here. Was supposed to be a working day for me, and the game I'm working on, they're trying to get to release, and it did so well in testing, which is unusual, that they said, you know what, we're going to put it through another round of testing tomorrow, but we're expecting so few problems, we just like everybody to be on call. So take the day off and relax, sort of, but be near your computer just in case problems arise and we need to bring you in. So I was like, well, I'm going to be stuck sitting by my computer, but have time off. Maybe I'll paint some miniatures. And here we are. Not bad. Not a bad life getting paid a day's work to paint some minis. If I can skew it. If I look at it that way. Sort of the myth of video game development is people not involved immediately ask, oh, I mean, you sit around and play video games all day? No, it does not. But apparently once in a career, frankly, it's the first time it's ever happened to me, you might get paid to sit around and paint miniatures, so cool. Don't mind that. Alright. Have I gotten every crevice of this horse? Sparrow getting out early too, huh? That's nice. Yeah, it's unusual in my line of work that get that sort of benefit, but don't mind it. Although I will say it is actually increasingly traditional that I've discovered. More and more companies that I've worked for recently have started just closing shop for the week between Christmas and New Year. I feel like when I was younger, that did not happen. And now, more and more companies I work for are just shutting down for that whole week. I think they were like, well, everybody takes a week off. It's really hard to get work done, so forget it. We'll just be closed. Which is great, in my opinion. Why not? Also, more companies I've worked for have started switching to unlimited PTO, which, I don't know, different people feel differently about that. I certainly enjoy not tracking PTO, though I know from what I've read and what I've seen practically, people take less time off when it's not tracked, which is not what you'd expect, but that's what happens. Am I painting all the horses brown? This set, and I don't know if you can see, but I've kind of gone two different shades of brown for this group. I'm going to do one a gray color. I just try to put a little variety in there, but, you know, not losing sleep over you know, having every horse be truly unique here. Yeah, so I think the one unit I have that's done here, which I'm definitely thinking that was the wrong sealant. They look really shiny and glossy. I'm gonna have to fix that. Looks like I did two brown and a gray one in the middle. Yeah. Well, I have to come back with a matte medium on you, my friends. Alright, I got one horse left, so I'm gonna do this one gray. Just for a little more variety. Might go with very light gray to make it look almost like a white horse. But of course, once I ink these things, well, yeah. So why not make one of the horses white? You know, the last step after doing all these base coats, after all the colors are on the minis, is to ink them. So that, you know, causes the detail to pop out. And generally I use a brown ink. And a white horse with brown ink on it looks a little weird. It looks like a dirty horse. So I try to go a little darker on these guys. This is not bad though. This grayish, a very light gray color is interesting. I just totally painted his leg gray. The rider's leg, that is. Oops. Oh well. That's why I'm painting the horse first. Come back and do the rider and cover up any mistakes. There you go. So kind of two brownish horses, one grayish horse. Alright, I'm gonna try and fix the ceiling. Ceiling, not that kind of ceiling. The sealant. The too glossy. Okay. So let's definitely have some matte medium here. Let's give that a shake. My biggest concern, honestly, I don't mind that the horses are a little shiny. Horses get a sheen on them. That happens. That's a thing. But the ground looks positively soaking wet, which I don't like. So. Did I just lose something? I just feel like I just heard something drop to the ground. I'll discover that later. Alright. So, just going to come back with some matte medium here. Get it on this horse. If you were here earlier when I was first painting these figures, it's a debate. I was about whether I wanted a matte or gloss sealant on these figures because the riders, of course, are encased in armor, and with metallics, gloss looks great. And I kind of tried to do both. Put a gloss on the riders, and then tried to come back and put matte on the horses and the ground, but my matte was not matte. It's yeah, never have I heard in a miniatures war game your horses don't look sweaty enough. But who knows? Honestly, usually the complaint is your horses are not painted at all. They are metal. Remember, there was a local game shop around here that used to hold Warhammer tournaments, and one of the tournaments they would hold was required that you had at least 3 colors of paint on every model. That was bare minimum, because they were trying to hold. They wanted it to look nice, right? They wanted to have a tournament where you could look and be like, "Oh, this looks really cool. Look at all these painted miniatures." And then I had a friend who really enjoyed playing Warhammer and was not into the modeling part of it. Like didn't want to paint miniatures. Just wasn't into the whole crafty part of miniature, the miniature hobby. So what he did is he bought a whole bunch. He had I think an Imperial army with a lot of knights in it. And he just spray painted them all silver. And then came back and, like, with a brush, painted, I think, brown boots and blue flags or something. And was just like, there, 3 colors, bare minimum. I did it. It's all about the efficiency. They looked like crap, let me tell you. But was, correct by the book. Alright. I don't think I want to get into more of these figures. I think it's probably getting close to time for me to roll up here and maybe think about making myself some dinner. Just gonna take a peek at how my tower's doing. Not bad. Still a little wet. Oh, but of course I sealed this with that same gloss, didn't I? Ugh. Yeah, I might have to come back and, well, a second coat of sealant is never a bad idea. Come back with something a little less shiny. That's disappointing. Alright, reminder to self, this glazing medium is quite shiny. Wasn't expecting that. Alright, well, I'm about to wrap up here. Thanks everyone who joined me. Banging into the to the camera stand there. Coming up on the channel this Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, where it's actually going to be a Book of War game, which is shocking. But there you go. The Most Dangerous Game continues on Thursday, as Dan and Dan bellies full of turkey will be muscling up to the Book of War table to play some Book of War. So check that out if you want. And then Dan and I will be back on Sunday with a topic of some sort, which I can't remember, but we'll be talking about something D&D related Sunday at 1. And should be good. Wish I remember what we were talking about. I have no idea. Alright, thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a good night.